After Ip Man in 2008 changed everything, the industry suddenly understood what it had in Donnie Yen. Not just an action choreographer. Not just a fighter with good camera instincts. A genuine movie star. The kind who could carry historical epics, play mythological gods, embody legendary figures from Chinese culture, and do it all with the physical authority that nobody else in Asian cinema could match. The years from 2008 to 2014 became something extraordinary. A stretch where Donnie Yen played Ip Man, Guan Yu, Sun Wukong, Chen Zhen, and a gambling-addicted corrupt cop who finds his conscience in the middle of one of history's most important moments, all inside 6 years. Today, we cover 7 films from that peak period. Not the Ip Man films you already know, but the ones alongside them. The historical epics, the ensemble pieces, the fantasy blockbusters, the superhero origin stories set in 1920s Shanghai. 7 films that represent Donnie Yen at the height of his powers, working with the best directors in Chinese cinema, playing the most significant characters of his career. Stick around because one of these films broke Iron Man 3's opening day box office record in China and then got completely overlooked by Western audiences. And the story of how that happened is almost as interesting as the film itself.
同你一齊係我一生中最美好嘅日子。
你喺度發夢？
人識發夢，先會夢想成真㗎嘛。
可惜我嘅夢被戰爭摧毀。
侵犯大英國嘅敵人，我會用飛劍去打佢嘅人頭。
唔通你心裏面？ 冇其他嘢值得你留低嘅。
我會永遠放喺呢一度。
愛一個人，我會犧牲所有。圓呢個夢，我要不顧一切。
An Empress and the Warriors, released in 2008 and directed by Johnny To's longtime collaborator Soi Ching, is a wuxia romance set in the Warring States period of ancient China, a world of constant military conflict, shifting political alliances, and the specific kind of exhaustion that comes from having been at war so long that peace feels like a foreign language. Kelly Chen plays Yan, the empress who inherits her father's throne and immediately discovers that her generals want her dead and replaced with someone more manageable. Donnie Yen plays Murong Xuehu, the general who loves her completely and cannot protect her from the politics that surround them both. Leon Lai plays the healer who offers her something Murong never can, a way out. It is a triangle in which Donnie plays the loser, and he plays it with a restraint that surprises anyone who comes to the film expecting the explosive physicality of his action work. Murong Xuehu loves the Empress in the way that military men love things they cannot have, absolutely and quietly without complaint, in the service of something larger than his own happiness. The battle sequences, when they arrive, are operatically staged and give Donnie the kind of physical authority that makes you believe immediately in the character's legendary battlefield status. Armored, mounted, cutting through formations with the calm efficiency of someone for whom war has become second nature. But between the battles, There is a man who cannot find the words for what he feels, and Donnie plays that silence with genuine weight. An Empress and the Warriors is the film that sits at the far romantic end of Donnie Yen's post-Ip Man career. The one that proves he could anchor a love story as comfortably as he anchored a cop thriller, and that his screen presence never depended on what his fists were doing in any particular scene. From the ancient battlefields of the warring states, Donnie stepped into something completely different. An ensemble action epic set in 1905 Hong Kong that would become the most emotionally ambitious film of his post-Ip Man career. Dragon, known in Chinese as Wuxia and directed by Peter Chan, is the most formally intelligent film Donnie Yen has ever made. The premise sounds simple. A humble papermaker in 1917 Yunnan province accidentally kills two thieves, and the detective investigating the incident begins to suspect that the accidental killing was not accidental at all. What unfolds is a mystery film that uses forensic science, physiology, and martial arts theory, presented in animated diagrams that make the film feel like a kung fu episode of CSI, to rebuild what actually happened and what the papermaker's real history might mean. Donnie plays Liu Jinshi, the gentle family man whose past, when Takeshi Kanashiro's bespectacled, obsessive detective begins to uncover it, reveals a violence so extraordinary that the film's entire second half becomes a reckoning with what it costs a person to have been that capable of hurting others and to have chosen to stop. The character is built from silence. Liu Jinshi speaks carefully, moves carefully, gives away nothing, and Donnie fills that silence with the specific physical presence of someone who has trained himself not to react, not because nothing is there, but because everything is. The film premiered at the 2011 Cannes Film Festival, received a North American theatrical release from the Weinstein Company, and became the most internationally visible film in Donnie's career outside of the Ip Man franchise at that point. The forest fight sequence in the final act, Donnie against legendary Shaw Brothers star Jimmy Wang Yu, playing a father whose violence makes his son's history comprehensible, is among the finest pieces of action choreography Donnie has ever delivered. Classical, brutal, and heartbreaking in equal measure. From the forensic noir elegance of Dragon, Donnie stepped into the most mythologically weighty role of his career. A character so sacred in Chinese culture that temples across Asia are dedicated to him.
到底係曹操要殺我，定係其他人要殺我？
原來亦有人性化嘅一面。
關某殺人係為咗救人，因為你我係兄弟，你唔係。
The Lost Bladesman, directed by the writers of Infernal Affairs, Alan Mak and Felix Chong, adapts one of the most beloved episodes from the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, the 14th century historical novel that occupies in Chinese culture the same position that the Iliad occupies in Western literature. Guan Yu, the character Donnie plays, is not simply a historical general. He is a deity, worshipped across Asia as the god of war, a symbol of loyalty and righteousness whose image appears in temples, police stations, and homes throughout the Chinese world. The directors chose Donnie specifically because they felt that Guan Yu was one of the best martial artists of his time, and that Donnie was the equivalent in contemporary cinema. The story is the Five Passes, Six Generals episode, Guan Yu must escort the wives of his sworn brother Liu Bei through enemy territory, fighting past 5 fortified positions and defeating 6 commanders in the process, all while wrestling with his loyalty to Liu Bei against his debt of honor to Cao Cao, who has treated him with a generosity and respect that creates a moral complication the warrior can find no clean answer to. Donnie maintained extraordinary physical bulk for the role, transforming his body to reflect the historical descriptions of Guan Yu's imposing size and strength. The film is not perfect. The romantic subplot stretches the story in directions the source material does not support, and the compression of the 5 passes sequence sacrifices some of its episodic grandeur for narrative efficiency. But at its center, Donnie Yen playing Guan Yu, the god of war, choosing honor over expedience, paying every debt in full even when the cost is catastrophic, is exactly the kind of convergence of performer and role that action cinema occasionally produces and always treasures. After the mythological weight of Guan Yu, Donnie stepped into an ensemble that surrounded him with some of the most celebrated actors in Asian cinema and asked him to play a man at his absolute lowest point and watch him choose, just once, to be someone worth following.
He's come to start a revolution. In 1 hour, he will change the world. Unless an assassin finds him first.
Bodyguards and Assassins, directed by Teddy Chan and released in 2009, won Best Film at the Hong Kong Film Awards and announced that Hong Kong's ensemble action epic had not died. It had simply been waiting for the right story and the right cast. The story, in 1905, Sun Yat-sen arrived secretly in Hong Kong for a meeting that could determine the future of the Chinese Revolution, and a group of completely ordinary people from different walks of life must protect him from an army of Qing assassins for exactly 1 hour. Donnie plays Shen Chongyang, a former cop who has destroyed his family through gambling addiction and is willing to take dirty money from anyone who offers it. His arc, from mercenary to sacrifice, is the emotional spine of the film's final sequence, and it works because Donnie plays the degradation completely straight. There is nothing heroic about Shen Chongyang at the beginning. He is a man who has chosen badly at every important juncture and knows it, and has concluded from that knowledge that he is not worth saving. The transformation is not sudden or dramatic. It is the slow accumulation of a few right choices in a row until the moment arrives when the only choice left is also the only one he can make with any self-respect. The film's final 40 minutes, the convoy protection through the streets of Hong Kong, the assassins attacking from every direction, the bodyguards falling one by one, is one of the great sustained action drama sequences in the history of Hong Kong cinema. Donnie versus combat sports champion Kung Le is the action highlight, a collision of 2 genuinely elite physical specimens that carries a weight no camera trick can manufacture. From the redemptive sacrifice of bodyguards and assassins, Donnie stepped into a role that was half superhero and half assassin. A Ming Dynasty secret police commander whose loyalty had been trained out of him, along with everything else that made him human. 14 Blades, directed by Daniel Lee and released in 2010, is Donnie Yen as a Ming Dynasty superhero operating at the intersection of the genre's two most powerful traditions, the wuxia period epic and the morally compromised action hero. He plays Qinglong, commander of the Jinyue, the Imperial Secret Police, composed of orphans trained since childhood to serve the Emperor absolutely and feel nothing about it. He carries a mechanized wooden box containing 14 blades, 8 for torture, 5 for killing, and 1 golden blade reserved for a single purpose, which is his own death in the event of mission failure. The film made the unusual decision to have Donnie explicitly approach Qinglong as a villain discovering his humanity, rather than a hero in conventional terms. A character choice that gives his performance a texture that most wuxia protagonists never achieve. Qinglong begins the film as a weapon with a face. The story is about what it costs to become a person again, when that process was systematically removed from you in childhood. And Donnie plays that gradual reawakening, with a restraint that makes the moments of feeling, when they finally arrive, genuinely moving. The film surrounds him with Sammo Hung as the corrupt Prince Qing, Zhao Wei as the woman whose presence begins to reactivate Qinglong's dormant conscience, Kate Sui as a female assassin of equal skill and opposite purpose, and Wu Chun as a bandit whose combination of incompetence and loyalty provides the film's comic relief. The fight against veteran Shaw Brothers actor Chen Kuan-tai in a forest clearing is particularly striking. Classical wuxia choreography meeting Donnie Yen's MMA-influenced body mechanics in a sequence that reflects both traditions without being owned by either. Before 14 Blades, before Guan Yu's 5 Passes, before the streets of 1905 Hong Kong, there was a film that asked Donnie Yen to step into the footsteps of both Bruce Lee and Jet Li simultaneously, and somehow make both, who made Infernal Affairs, and written by Gordon Chan, who made Fist of Legend. It stars Donnie Yen as Chen Zhen, a role made famous by Bruce Lee in Fist of Fury in 1972, and subsequently by Jet Li in Fist of Legend in 1994, and by Donnie himself in a 30-episode television series in 1995. The film imagines that Chen Zhen survived the hail of bullets at the end of Fist of Fury, fought alongside the Chinese Labor Corps on the Western Front in World War I, and returned to a Japanese-occupied Shanghai in 1925 as a masked vigilante. Part Bruce Lee, part Kato from the Green Hornet, part Chinese Batman operating from the Casablanca nightclub with Anthony Wong as his unlikely ally and Shu Qi as a Japanese spy who may be falling for the man she is supposed to betray. The film opened at the 67th Venice International Film Festival and the 2010 Toronto International Film Festival. Its opening sequence, Chen Zhen and his Chinese comrades charging across a W1 battlefield, Donnie dispatching German soldiers with 2 bayonets in a blizzard of violence that looks nothing like anything that came before it in the franchise, is one of the great action openings of the decade and sets a bar the rest of the film never quite clears. The middle section, with its nightclub intrigue and political plotting, loses momentum that the spectacular finale partly recovers. When Donnie finally puts on the black suit, picks up the nunchucks, and starts moving like the only person alive who knows what Bruce Lee actually felt like in that body, the film becomes something worth every minute of the wait. It is an uneven film, but it is uneven in the way that only genuinely ambitious films manage. The gaps between its peaks are the gaps between the moments when Donnie Yen becomes, briefly and completely, 3 different legends at once. After the ambition of Legend of the Fist, Donnie Yen took on something even more mythologically enormous, the most famous character in Chinese literary history, a role that had been animated, televised, and reimagined for centuries, and which required him to spend more than 1,000 hours in a makeup chair before a single frame was shot. The Monkey King, released on Lunar New Year 2014 and directed by Tsui Ching, is the most commercially spectacular film in Donnie Yen's career, outside of the Ip Man franchise, and also the most physically demanding, in a way that had nothing to do with martial arts. The character of Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, is the most beloved figure in Chinese popular culture. Adapted from the 16th century novel Journey to the West, and reimagined in every medium from animation to opera across 500 years. Playing him required Donnie to undergo full-body makeup applied by a team of over 70 Hollywood special effects artists. 20 different face molds were produced. The process took more than 1,000 hours of total makeup application across the shoot, and 200 kilograms of simulated monkey hair were consumed in the production. Underneath all of that, Donnie also served as the film's action director, choreographing the fantasy combat sequences that define Sun Wukong's battles across the three realms, Heaven, Earth, and the Demon World, against Aaron Kwok's Bull Demon King and a celestial army. The film broke Iron Man 3's opening day box office record in China, earning the equivalent of $20 million on its first day of release and going on to gross $182 million worldwide. Western critics were mixed on the CGI quality. Chinese audiences did not care even slightly. Donnie spent 6 months off work after completing The Monkey King, a break he said he needed to spend time with his children before they grew up. The film had required everything: the makeup, the choreography, the performance beneath both. The task of making a character that 500 years of Chinese storytelling had made sacred feel specific and personal and alive in 3 dimensions. He came back from that break 6 months later and made the next film. He always came back. 7 films across 6 years at the absolute peak of Donnie Yen's creative powers. From the quiet romantic devastation of an empress and the warriors to the forensic noir brilliance of Dragon. From the mythological weight of the Lost Bladesman to the commercial spoon of the Monkey King. These films represent a sustained period of creative ambition that no action star of his generation came close to matching. What defines this era is the sheer range of what Donnie was willing to attempt. In the same 6 years, he played a god of war, a corrupt cop finding his conscience, a Ming Dynasty assassin recovering his soul, a 1920s Shanghai vigilante channeling 3 different legends simultaneously, and the most famous character in Chinese literary history. Most action stars find a lane and stay in it. Donnie Yen kept changing the road. The question for the comments: which of these 7 films is the most underrated? Because Dragon is the answer most people should give, and most people have never seen. Drop your vote in the comments below. Hit like if this deep dive is earning its running time, and subscribe for more. Come back for the next video, because we are going into the final chapter of the Donnie Yen story. The films where he stopped being a star and became a phenomenon.